Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Worried about empty nest syndrome and how it may affect your relationship? Well, here with tips on how to rekindle a marriage as empty nesters. We welcome back to the show couples therapist Megan Meganson is here. Megan, I've missed you.
Yes, I've missed being here. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. So we're talking empty nest syndrome.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about what that even means.
Absolutely. So we're most familiar with empty nest syndrome when we think about the sadness and uncertainty parents feel when their children leave the home.
Leave the nest.
Right? Leave the nest,
Right.
go to college, move out, whatever it may be. It's commonly accompanied by just a lot of sadness and uncertainty about what's going to happen next in life.
Yeah, I can understand that because, I mean, if you spend a bulk of your, at least around the age of 18 years,
Right.
with caring for someone other than yourself and your spouse,
Yes.
then it can be sort of like, what do I do now?
Absolutely. And I find that we don't talk nearly enough about the impact empty nest syndrome has on relationships.
Well, what kind of impact does it have?
Well, first of all, I want to explain that parents actually have two different relationships.
Okay.
So when you become a parent, you have a spousal relationship with your partner.
Right.
And then you have a parental relationship with your partner.
Yes.
And these two relationships are very different. So if you think about how you interact with your spouse as a parent, you're saving money for college, you're changing diapers, you're packing lunches, it's very logistical.
Right.
And it's not romantic.
No, not at all.
Fair?
Very fair.
Yes.
Agreed.
So the spousal relationship is where we experience eroticism and intimacy, passion. But where many couples get trapped is that when they have kids, they begin to over-focus on their parental relationship and they stop taking care of their spousal relationship. So when the kids leave the house, they look at each other and realize we have completely lost our intimate connection as spouses.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound very fun. Because now I'm sitting here thinking, oh, you know how you think, I can't wait for these kids to get out of here and I can get back to me. And then I guess you would kind of look over like, okay, so, oh, hello.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a rebirth, meeting somebody different
It
all over
absolutely
again.
is. And I often hear couples tell me that they have this moment after their kids leave home where they look at each other and realize they have absolutely nothing to talk about.
That sounds so crazy to me, though. I mean, but I'm in the throes of things. I'm so far from having an empty nest.
Right.
But I can actually see it because I have some friends and I have, I mean, you know, I've seen other couples, parents, friends, who, and even my own parents, they didn't last after the kids kind of left the house. And I never equated it. I never put it together that way.
Yes.
But perhaps that's what was going on. So what can we do then?
Yeah, so the good news is that it is always possible to recreate the spousal connection. It takes a lot of work.
As everything does.
As everything
in a
does.
relationship.
Absolutely. So the first step is to have an honest conversation with your partner that this is a problem. Right? So to say out loud that you recognize over the past 18 years of parenting that you've grown apart, and then to commit mutually to working to restore the spousal connection that you had prior to kids.
Okay, let's role play.
All right, let's go.
Okay, I'm the one that's going to say something
All
to
right,
you.
okay, I'm ready.
Honey, I don't feel like I know you anymore. I don't really have anything to talk about with you, and that concerns me.
Yeah, you know, it concerns me too, and I think we should go to couples therapy so that we can get back on track.
Hey, that was perfect. Perfect.
I mean,
that was perfect.
Thank you very much.
Now, we can only hope that they go that way, because I can hear somebody saying, I don't want to go to counseling, I don't need counseling, or, you know, oh, please, we have plenty of stuff to do, and, you know, kind of brushing off the other person.
Right, and that dialogue never goes as smoothly as it did just now, but it's a start. I think naming that something isn't right is always the place to start.
Right. You have to have that open communication, and you preach that all the time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now that we've said it.
Yes, now we've said it. So we move on to step 2. Step 2 is really hard, so I want to be honest about that. Step 2 is where we begin to unpack what is missing from our relationship. And this is often the place where a lot of wounds come up. Right? A lot of hurts that you have buried underneath years of parenting emerge to the surface. And it can be really hard to have these conversations, but I really encourage you to push through and say what needs to be said.
But what if somebody is just feeling like, you know what, I'm not really feeling attracted to you anymore.
Yeah.
How do you overcome something like that?
Yeah, it's really challenging, but it's possible.
Okay.
So I do encourage couples to have the conversation about what's missing in terms of their emotional relationship and their sexual relationship. So we want to keep our eye on both components. So where am I feeling less emotionally connected to you than I would like? And where am I feeling less sexually connected or sexually attracted to you than I would like? Before we try to jump to solutions, we just want to articulate what the problem is.
Okay.
And that's what this step is all about. Write it down on paper. Get a really good sense of what you're working with.
Whew, yeah, you're right. That does sound, that sounds difficult, but doable.
Yeah. Absolutely
Especially
doable.
if the other person is open to the dialogue.
Yes, of course. And remember, if you need help, if you find that you need a mediator or you need a more structured environment, that's what couples therapy is for.
Yes, do not call your mother.
Yeah, don't call your mom.
That's
she's
the
not going to be
worst
helpful.
person to call.
She's not. I mean, I love my mom.
I love mine too, but let me tell you, she's Team Trey all day.
Exactly.
So whatever I tell her, if it's something, and she's going to forever be looking at my husband that way, no matter what. Even though you've forgiven him, you've moved on.
Yes.
They always tell you, you can't call mama. You just can't.
Don't call mama.
Okay.
Call your therapist.
That's right.
That's what your therapist is there for.
Okay, and then finally, a plan?
Yes, a plan. So once you have detailed and articulated what's missing from your relationship, it's time to set some goals. And this is where it gets fun.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the point in the process where you and your partner get to decide exactly what kind of relationship you want to have.
And you have room to do it because you're in an empty nest now.
That's right. There's time, maybe resources depending on how many kids you have in college.
Right.
But there's at least time and space to focus on the relationship. And I really encourage my couples to create a plan of action. So I want to see a detailed step-by-step account of what we are going to do to get to where we want to be in the relationship.
Okay, can you just maybe give us one example of something somebody
Well, I'll give you an example in each category.
Okay.
So if it's around emotional connection, you might realize that you have stopped going on dates, right? Or you've stopped spending time focusing in on the relationship. So maybe you say, let's go on one date a week where we get out of the house and do something fun together. Or if it's around the sexual relationship, maybe you realize you need to spice things up a little bit. And you agree to try one thing new in the bedroom every month until you're feeling fizzled up again.
Okay. All doable.
All doable.
Well,
Absolutely.
This is good. This is great information because I know people do struggle with this.
Absolutely.
And Lord knows, when I'm an empty nester, I'll come back to what
I'll
you
be
tell
here
me.
for you.
That's right. Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
It's always good to have you. We're going to have more information about Megan and these tips for you on our website at katu.com.